sorry. Can we stop? I'm sorry. I'm gonna start choking.
Oh my goodness, Shanika is choking, but what's up? We are live on YouTube for another installment of What's That?
Sister Chat.
That's right, Shanika. Are you doing better, girl?
Girl, I'm good. I was just choking up from what we about to start talking about, girl.
Uh-oh. Let's do it.
Sister Chat.
All right, guys. So I just wanted to get your thoughts on how people are showing their support for the Black Lives Matters movement, and also y'all's thoughts on how companies and celebrities, their consequences that they are facing from their thoughts and responses about the movement and Black people in general. So the first thing I wanted to get y'all's thoughts on are how certain YouTubers and influencers are showing their support for the movement by doing blackface. If you guys don't know what blackface is, which you should by now, but it is when someone that is not Black puts makeup on that is Black or for Black people to represent a Black person. All right. So, Cece, what are your thoughts on it?
I have to tell you, I'm not familiar with these YouTubers, so I did not see this case. But hearing you say it, I'm like dumbfounded, right? Because I think there have been enough situations where people have come forward and videos have come out and old pictures have come out of people in blackface, and people are saying, we don't do blackface. So I'm a little confused about why that's a thing. For people still. I know maybe they were really young and they'd never heard about it. I just feel like we have social media and we have Google at our fingertips. And like before you make certain decisions, you can be like, this is me and my Google assistant, right? Hey, Google, if I paint my body black and I'm white, are people gonna get mad? Because if you even have the inclination that it might be a question, you should definitely probably not do it, right? So I just think that this is silly. I think it's dumb, and I don't think that you have to look like me to be an ally. I've got plenty of white friends who are showing up as themselves and being an ally in this movement without having to do stupid things like that. So that's my opinion.
All right, Shelly, what are your thoughts?
Okay, so blackface is never okay. You should not even question it. It is never okay. It is so disrespectful. You need to look up the history on it. Google is your best friend. There is no excuse whether you want to support me or not. You don't need to put on blackface. You don't have to look like me in order to support me. The thing about blackface is you're able to wash it off when you're done. You can't walk in my shoes every single day as a woman of color. And that's pretty much all I have to say on that. Just don't do it. Don't even think twice. Just don't do it. It's not appropriate.
All right, Sharice, what are you thinking about it?
Yeah, I just feel like, people need to figure this thing out. Like we keep repeating history over and over again. It keeps happening. We're not paying attention, and by not paying attention, we're continuing to hurt ourselves. You know what I mean? Like, okay, so blackface, it started after the Civil War, and it was actually a way for theater makers at the time for white theater makers, white men in particular, to dehumanize African people. It's steeped in racism. They used to put shoe polish, grease, burnt the ends of burnt things, mud. That's how they would make their skin black for shows, for theater, right? But it was all about dehumanizing the Black person. So there is a huge problem with doing that. And even still, like you see a lot of makeup artists, there's a lot of makeup artists that are doing this blackface, and it's still for entertainment at the cost of a black person, at the cost of black people, at the cost of black lives. And we're sitting here saying Black Lives Matter. And a lot of these people are going out to the protest saying Black Lives Matter, but you're still now just making us a product, dehumanizing and taking away, trying, not succeeding, but trying to take away our humanity. And I think that's wrong. We got to stop.
Yep. I agree with all of y'all. Y'all all made some, well, the most important point is don't do it. Okay? Just don't. Alrighty. So the next question I wanted to ask you guys are, what are y'all thoughts on celebrities being canceled and fired for their past racist Twitter remarks or just things that happened in the past? They're coming back up and they're getting fired now. What are y'all thoughts on that? Cece?
Whew, so this is one of those topics that, like, it's a tough conversation, right? Like there's some, it's interesting, right? So I have lots of thoughts on this, and I've read both sides, and I've kind of, tried to really figure out where my heart's to this. And, when I think about these celebrities who are losing their jobs because of the things that they've come out and that they've said in the past, I just think, we talked about this a little bit last week. And the thing for me is that if I'm a brand, if I'm a company, and I come forward and I say, I stand with these people, and we believe in this movement, and we want to eradicate racial injustice, then I think that companies have a responsibility to make sure that that they are being represented well, right? Like they have a responsibility to make sure that people are not sullying their brand, and that people aren't acting in ways that are against what it is that they've said that they stand for, right? Because if I say I stand for one thing and then you're showing something else, well then, and I don't do anything about it, well then, what am I doing, right? So it's this weird situation, because I feel like we all have racial biases, right? We all have things that we could be working on. And I do think that it's a good opportunity for people to take a look at themselves and say, whoa, I've said some things, I've done some things, what was going on in my life at this time? But honestly, I think, like you said, Shanika, it's a consequence, right? Like, I thought that it was okay to go on the internet and publish something that was egregious or defamatory or racist or racially biased or whatever. And it's a consequence when a company decides that, hey, we can't be aligned with you if these are the types of views that you've had.
I agree. All right. Sharice, what you thinking, girl?
It's a particularly hard question for me, being that I am a person who is, I get hired to represent brands as a performer, as an actor, and then also to say, like, I'm not allowed to have my own thoughts and opinions because a brand might need to use me in the future. That is it's a little bit like, I don't really know how to feel, particularly about things that people have said in the past, because things that people have said in the past might not reflect where they are currently. So even I had a conversation with my friend before we started, well, not actually before we started, What's That? But once we started What's That Sister Chat, I had a conversation with one of my actor friends, and I said, oh my God, I'm kind of nervous about this because, I don't want people, like, now I'm sharing who I am, which is not something that you usually do as a performer, right? You usually just say, hey, I'm acting and blah, blah, blah. And I said, oh my God, but what if I say something that's offensive to somebody, or what if I don't say the right thing? And trying to, and so I really struggle with that. And one of the things she told me was like, hey, well, then what you do is you say, well, this is where I was then. And if you've grown from there, then you explain that you've grown. And I do think that that's the thing that's missing. It's like, if you have grown from there, if you were ignorant at one point, and I don't mean ignorant in like some kind of negative sense, meaning that you didn't understand or you didn't know, and you've grown from that, then, I think that we should be able to offer some grace, and we should be able to offer some learning and understanding. So that's just my thoughts on that.
I can agree with you, Sharice, on that. My thing is Drew Brees, for example. He said something in the past about Colin Kaepernick kneeling and kneeling during the anthem, right? And then recently, after everything that's going on, all the support that the Black Lives Movement has gotten, he still says the same thing. And when the heat was turned up on him, he decided to, I'm sorry guys, he decided to change his tune a little bit. I don't know. I understand people are allowed to have their opinions, yes, but you also have to be sensitive to the group of people that you are discussing and talking about. Like, to me, it shows no empathy at all or compassion towards a group. And if it's race, like based on race, and it's racist, there is no excuse for it, in my opinion. Yeah, I mean, if they said it in the past, especially if they're young, I can understand, hey, you didn't know better. But as an adult, and seeing and knowing and seeing everything that's going on, and you still have the same thoughts, shows me that you are still racist and you're still, I don't know, disrespectful, I guess. I don't know.
Well, I think, and I should also just clarify, at least for me, that I'm not like, you guys know Roseanne, she got canceled a while back because she used the N-word repeatedly, like talking about people that worked for her and all this kind of different stuff. And like, that is totally different to me. That's not an opinion. That is a outright like racial slur. That is wrong. Okay. I'm talking about like the way, because the thing is, like, people's perspectives change. They understand things differently. But when if you know that what you're doing is totally just like not right, then that's where I have the issue. But so like for Roseanne, like that was to me like, okay, well, yeah, not too good for her. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I'm kind of on the fence with it. Like, I don't know if y'all, I don't know, because I'm not racist. But like she said, like, people grow, people evolve. So if that is not your thinking anymore, I don't know what you need to do publicly, but you should say it, or I don't know. It's not right to say remarks like that in general. But for their like company's perspective, if you're representing certain people, then you have to be gone. So I'm cool with them getting fired. Yes, Shirley?
Yeah, but I just was gonna say that that I think it also, like, context is everything. To me, context is everything, because for instance, I think it was Jimmy Fallon, and I might be, someone needs to fact check it for me, but I think it was Jimmy Fallon who did a skit on SNL and he was pretending to be Chris Rock, and you know, he was in blackface. You know what I mean? Like he was fully, he had an afro, skin darkened, all that kind of stuff. And that was SNL. Okay, that was a brand. That was a company. That was a group of writers sitting in a room together thinking, oh, this is a good idea. Now, it was years and years and years and years ago. It wasn't at a time where, well, racial tension has always been high in the US, but it wasn't at a time where we were so open about it and all of this. And now we're coming here now in 2020 going, oh, everybody canceled Jimmy Fallon, forget about him. And totally forgetting all of the things that he's done, all the things that he said in public that he stood for. You know, people dug something up from his past that he did as an actor, as a performer, for a brand that wrote the skit for him. And so, like, to me, it's like, it's a little bit like, you know, I do think to a certain extent that we are so full of outrage and cancel. Like, we are living in the outrage culture where people are literally just going, I'm mad, forget that person. And we're not having conversations. And I think that's where there's a problem, because you really need to be talking about these companies and these brands.
That's true. I agree. What's up, Shelly?
I just want to say, what you say in public, I mean, what you say in private, your business. But if you're representing a brand and you say something out in public, get ready for whatever outrage you're going to have. Get ready for the cancellation. You have to, I don't know, you have to, I guess, censor what you say in public if you are representing a brand. You don't want to mess up your money. You don't want to mess up your pocketbook. I mean, you have to watch what you say in public. Whatever you say in private where people can't hear you, hey, that's what you say. That's how you feel.
Well, wouldn't you like to know? Wouldn't you like to know?
I would like to know, but if they say it in public, they're at risk of being canceled. I mean,
that's the thing. Like, don't say anything that you're not willing to back up. Like, you know, even like this conversation right now. Like, yeah, I told y'all before. Like, it's very difficult for me to be like, okay, I represent so many different things, people, brands, myself as a brand, all these things. But I have to be able to back up. If it's my opinion and I make sure that it's what I believe, then I have to back it up. And I have to stand on it.
What I think is interesting.
No, I was just gonna say exactly. You have to just, I mean, like you say, Sharice, you have to be able to back it up with, hey, this is me, this is how I feel. But you can't get upset if you get canceled for what you say.
So what I want to add to this conversation is a couple of things. One is that I think we have to remember that a company, a brand, they have every right to fire people, right? They have every right to choose who they work with. But the other piece of that, which I think is so important, is that as a human, as an individual, right, you are your brand. And if you go on social media and you start tweeting out racist comments, you start tweeting out things that are derogatory and inappropriate and all of these sorts of things, it's not some external brand that you need to be worried about. You need to be worried about what that says about you, right? And so, yes, absolutely, people can grow. Absolutely, people's opinions might change. I'm curious, though, if you put out a tweet, one of the shows that I absolutely love is The Flash, and one of the characters on The Flash was fired recently because of old tweets that he had that were both racist and misogynistic and sexually inappropriate. He had all kinds of this old content. I don't know him in his personal life. I don't know anything about him and who he is in his real life, but this is what I see. And how do I, as somebody who could potentially be a fan, somebody who might potentially be invested in you and not just a TV show, how am I supposed to reconcile that? So unless you said, oh my God, you know, however many years back that tweet was, I don't feel that way anymore. And here's what I've done to change those thought patterns. Because here's the reality. It was cool back then to say those things, right? Maybe he didn't have that same level of fame. Maybe people weren't outraged. People were okay with the status quo, right? But we're in a situation now where people don't feel that way anymore. You have to be able to answer for the things that you said. And it's okay if you said, and he has said publicly, like, those things that I've said in the past were terrible, and I can't believe I said those things. But I'm curious, as somebody on the outside, what have you done that got you from there to here, right? And have you had a voice, right, in what's been going on currently, or have you been silent? I don't know, because I don't follow him personally. It's not anything that I'm interested in. But he's not someone that I follow. But I am curious, has he stood up when things were difficult and said, you know what, I stand by this, that, and the other? Has he shown any other opinion than the opinion that was when he posted publicly? Because I'm going to believe what you said. I'm not going to believe your mea culpa now. I'm going to believe what you publicly said when you thought it was okay to say it, unless I have reason to feel differently later.
Yeah,
I
raised some good
I
points.
think that I hear you, and I agree to a certain extent. I don't know that, like, are you obligated to go and show and prove to every single person as a human, like that, oh, well, I did this. Oh, no, but don't, I did this. Like, it's like we are constantly on edge because we're like, oh, we have to answer for every single thing that we've done to all of these people who in reality don't care about us. Like, you know what I mean? And I'm not saying that I don't know what he tweeted. I don't know anything about this person that you're talking
His
about.
stuff was particularly vile. So let me just say that he talked about taking sneak peeks at women on set at film things and seeing women naked, that when he wasn't supposed to. I mean, there were all kinds of things that he said. But that's even, I think, beside the point. The point being that at the end of the day, no, you don't have to answer to anyone except for yourself. And you have to live with those comments that you said. And if you make a decision that that's not who I am anymore, and that's not what I stand for, you need to reflect that publicly if you're a public figure. I do think when you have, go ahead.
Okay, so just for example, like, and I'm not saying that this is right or wrong. This is just a fact of my life growing up. When I was in middle school, that was the time where people used to use the word gay, G-A-Y, as a joke, as like, just like, oh, that's so gay. Oh, you gay. Oh, that's so gay. Like, whatever. Like, I don't even know. They would talk about clothing. They would talk about paintings. They would talk about anything and use that terminology. So now I can almost guarantee you, if you go to people's old Zangas or Black Planet page or whatever page that is MySpace or whatever, you'll see that those comments, you'll see those words. And are you telling me that in 15 years, they're going to have to explain why they said those things with, like, are they some horrible human being because they were in 7th grade saying, oh, you're so gay? Like, I think that, like, there has to be a level of like, all right, when are we going to say this is horrible, this is okay, and why are we even the judges of that? I don't know.
I think, and forgive me if I'm wrong, CC, but I think what you're trying to say is you should show some kind of growth from where you were before to where you are now. If you said vile things in the past and you've grown since then, what you've done up until now should reflect how you've grown from whatever you may have said in the past. Take Kevin Hart, for instance. He was supposed to be the host of the Oscars, I think it was, but because he had made jokes about the forgive me, sorry, too many acronyms. But anyway, he made a joke about that community years ago. They canceled him. Although he's apologized, he's shown how he has grown since then by supporting them and supporting their causes since then, but they still canceled him because of what he said years ago. He's apologized numerous times. He's shown where he's been supportive of that community numerous times, but no one wants to. People were just canceled him, and with him, he's shown that growth though of how he's grown from what happened in the past to now. We're not saying that you have to. Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I'm just saying, I don't know if he's shown growth. I mean, listen, Kevin Hart, I'm not saying you haven't grown. All I'm saying is that when people start messing with your money and they're messing with your livelihood and they're messing with your family and your children's livelihood, then you start doing things that you might not have done. If you felt that way in the past and now suddenly you're saying, oh, I don't feel that way anymore. Like, we don't know. And I'm not saying that this is what he did. I'm just saying that we don't know anybody's intention. So even if someone comes out and apologizes and says, oh, I'm my bad. Oh, I'm going to donate this. Oh, I'm going to go to that parade. I'm going to celebrate this person. Like, at the end of the day, we don't know, especially when it comes to Hollywood and celebrities, because we're messing with people's paycheck at this point, and they're going to do whatever they have to do because that's just the way of that game, in my opinion. Now, I could be totally wrong, and I could be talking out the side of my neck. And like I said, I'm not saying that that's what Kevin Hart did or anyone else who has said something or done something wrong in the past and then come forward and apologize for it or taken other steps and actions. I'm just saying that, like, we be judging and canceling and doing all of this stuff. And I'm sure if you dig up anybody's past, you will find something. So in that case,
I get that, but I think the key word is growth. If you are really truly not that person who you were before, it should be seen in the way your actions since then. Whether you come out and apologize or not, it should be seen in your actions from then up until now. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, let's move on. We're still talking about canceling people in companies and situations, though. All right. So recently, Starbucks was canceled, and people don't want to support them anymore, guys, because they told their employees that they are not, or they cannot wear any Black Lives Matters attire, shirts, pins, or anything to work. And that created a lot of backlash. They said that because they said it is political and it can cause people to become violent at their store. But then other people were bringing up that they do support the LGBTQ. Yeah, they support them and they're able to wear their pins and their shirts to work. So now Starbucks has backtracked and said, well, y'all can wear y'all BLM attire and stuff to work. How do y'all feel about that? What Starbucks did? What y'all feel?
Shelly Shells, our resident Starbucks drinker, has an opinion.
Okay, Shelly.
Yes. So, Starbucks. Oh, I love my white chocolate mocha. However, I cannot support that right now. I can't support that. First of all, why does everybody think that BLM always has there's going to be some kind of outrage or some kind of violence connected to it? Like, that narrative has got to stop. Like, seriously. That's not, I don't understand it. Okay, so my feeling on Starbucks, yes, cancel. I'm sorry, you cannot, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Well, I'm sorry, Shelly. If there's a day that you're just craving your Starbucks and you're like, I know they said this and did that, but I really want my coffee.
know,
Are you gonna get your coffee, or
That
are
was
you
me
gonna
today.
not get your coffee? Don't nobody gotta know. That could be a secret that you take to your grave, girl. Don't nobody gotta know. What you gonna do for real though?
It's just between the sisterhood.
And all people watching. I mean, that's just something you have to live with. Personally, man, like I said, I love my white chocolate mocha, but I don't know. It's so, ugh. I mean, I
Are you
love their
canceling them
coffee.
for now, or are you canceling them forever?
The fact that they're trying to rectify the situation now by allowing people to wear their BLM memorabilia, like clothing or whatever, apparel, I feel like it's just a little too late. I think that it's just wrong all the way around. It's just wrong. I just feel like, I don't know. I just feel like when you say something, it's how you truly feel. And I really truly feel like they think that BLM is like this group of terrorists. And I just, the whole violence thing that you said, just really, I didn't hear that part. I didn't read that part when I read the article. But that really just turned me off. And yeah, I'm going to be supporting Black-owned coffee shops. So, Sharice, let's go. I need you to get your stuff together, please, so I can support. But no, I just feel like they didn't want it to be political, but it's political when they allow their employees to wear pride buttons and being able to support the LGBTQ plus community and not be able to support the Black Lives Matter community. That's all I'm gonna say. And yes, I love Starbucks, but
Well, white chocolate, caramel, capra, whatever you said. Not no more.
white chocolate mocha.
What are your thoughts, Cece?
You know, this is an interesting one. I am not a Starbucks connoisseur, you know, I probably haven't had it in a very long time. But what I think is interesting about this particular story is that Starbucks is one of those companies that made a public statement and said, we believe in this thing and we're going to stand behind this thing. And we, you know, and so they very publicly said that this was something that they wanted to understand and they wanted to be a part of. What I will say, again, a business is its own entity and they have decisions that they have to make and they have decisions that they have. Once they make those decisions, they have to live with the consequences of that. I don't believe that Starbucks is canceled, right? I also don't think Kevin Hart is canceled, just like Taylor Swift was never canceled, right? So like, I don't even know if I believe the hype behind cancel culture. I don't really believe that that's a thing. What I will say is that when we're navigating these types of situations and these intensely difficult, long ingrained systems, right? A lot of people are going to make missteps. A lot of companies are going to make missteps. They're going to say and do the wrong things. And I think it's their responsibility when they do have that misstep to say, okay, we recognize we did something wrong. We recognize how that might not have served in the way that we thought it would. And this is what we're going to do differently. And so I'm going to say, I respect the fact that they said, okay, we made a call, we listened to our stakeholders, and we're changing the call. Now, I don't know if that call is only, you know, money motivated or if it's something that they truly stand by, but I do think we're going to see a lot of people and a lot of companies make a lot of missteps as we're trying to tackle something that is completely and totally ingrained in all systems in the United States and globally. So, you know, I don't drink Starbucks. I was never their ideal customer. I'm not really a coffee drinker. I'm much more of a tea girl, and I like, you know, to brew my own stuff at home. But I say, just like I said earlier with some of the celebrities, is that we have to watch the steps that they make moving forward and see if their actions are in line with what they say that they are about, and if they continue to grow and show up in that way, right? When we're a few months down the line, maybe things have died down, people aren't protesting, things have started to shift. Are we still seeing them being supportive of the movement? Are we still seeing them put their dollars behind things? Are we still seeing them, create their own button? If we're still seeing those things, then I can believe that you say what you mean. But for right now, I can only kind of look at the whole picture and go from there.
All right. Sheree?
Well, okay, y'all. So yeah, I'm here. I'm sorry. I was just taking a little because I have so many thoughts about this. Now, Starbucks, they made it political when they made the decision to say you can't wear your BLM shirts. I think whoever was in the boardroom, but when they put that information out there, they do. I don't know. I don't go to Starbucks. I that's not my thing. Although I do work at a coffee shop and I do plan on doing some other things, but I don't go to Starbucks. So I don't know. Do they have uniforms? Don't they have uniforms?
I think
they've got an apron.
So they do have like a uniform shirt, but with the LGBTQ plus community, they're allowed to wear like the month of June is Pride Month, I believe, and so they're allowed to wear like pride buttons. They're allowed to wear like rainbow, or to show their support towards that community. So
okay,
they do have like
then they basically telling Black people they can't wear their skin.
I
mean, but okay. Nevertheless, what I'm saying here is that if I was in that boardroom, what I would have said is, hey, this is our dress code, and these are the things that are allowed in our dress code. I probably wouldn't even have mentioned BLM, because if that's the big problem, you know what I mean? Like, if you're saying, well, you have a dress code and this is what you need to wear, then that's what it is. I feel that they made it political. But I also feel, and I think, okay, let me stay on Starbucks real quick. So the other issue that they had is that, I don't know if y'all remember, I don't remember how long ago it was, but some time ago, there was 2 men that were in the Starbucks that got arrested for sitting in the Starbucks and not having bought anything. They got the police called on them. All this stuff happened. People were canceling Starbucks then. And so Starbucks said, okay, we're going to do diversity training. We don't agree with this that happened. We're going to train our people how to deal with Black people, right? That's basically what they decided they were going to do. So I would like to know what happened to their diversity training. Like, if it's, why didn't they give out the BLM shirts during the diversity buttons during the diversity training, so they didn't even have to deal with this issue now? So I think that's the other question, right? Like, I think people are just going like they're like this, like that emoji. Yeah, Shelly, you have something to say? Go ahead.
We know why. We know what happened. It was just so that they can keep their money, just like them turning around and saying, hey, you can wear your BLM stuff now. They just did that to be able to, like CC said, keep their stakeholders happy. That's all. Okay. They did that. They shut down for a whole day for their diversity training.
So I will say that the BLM buttons, or the gear that they've given, that they are allowing their members to wear, their team members to wear, is supposed to be from directly from Starbucks, like things that Starbucks gave to them to put on their aprons and things like that, right? So Starbucks is saying, we still want to have control of what you get to wear. We're going to give you those pieces of those items, right? But I think Cece and Shanika both said two very, very powerful things. And I agree with you, Cece. I don't think that Kevin Hart is canceled forever. I don't think that, well, we know that Taylor Swift wasn't canceled forever. Like, I think that, Shanika said, are you going to do it for now or forever? And that's a really big question and a really big statement, powerful, because I think that we live in such a hyperbolic world where we're always going extreme. We're all like, that's what I mean when I say outrage culture. Like, we get mad in the moment and then it's like, rah, 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 I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that. And then like 10 days later, you forget, or the next thing happens, and then we move on and we're back in the Starbucks, or we're back wherever we're gonna go. So I think I think we got to find a balance. Like, what are we, again, it comes down to are we communicating? Why is it an issue that Starbucks said this? Why is it an issue that Kevin Hart did this years ago and then was canceled from being able to host the award show? Like, why are these things happening? That's the real thing. And I think that we as a nation have to have a real serious conversation. And I don't know how we get all those people. Maybe we need to get a massive Zoom call going where we all can have a conversation, because we need to talk more, people, in my opinion. Good.
Go ahead, Shelly.
I agree. It's all about action. So their actions from now until whenever will determine if I'm going to go back and get my white chocolate mocha, extra hot, with a butter croissant. But no, for real, it all boils down to action. So yes, they have decided to allow their team members to wear BLM buttons and stuff that they will be handing out. That does show some kind of action, but what was the intent behind it? So and like you said, the whole incident that happened, I think like a year or two ago with the black men, shows that they have not really shown any action towards Black lives. Like, I don't know. Personally, it just depends on the action. And I agree where we have to communicate. I think we as just a people, a nation, have to communicate. And now's the best time to start communicating because of everything that's going on. Now's the time to start talking about, what's going on, how you feel, how can we change it, how can we work together. But until then, I will be supporting Black-owned companies. I just feel like we should be supporting our own as well.
And Shelly, let me just say, I know that it feels like there's not a lot of coffee shops or places for restaurants that are Black owned for you to go and visit, but there are so many. And even I would say, if you specifically are looking for coffee, you might not find a Black owned coffee shop, but you might find a Black owned bakery or a Black owned restaurant that sells coffee, and their coffee is just as good as Starbucks or any other, major coffee place. So I would say to think outside the box when you're looking to support those Black owned companies, because they're out there.
Oh no, I have been searching and looking, and I did go to a Black owned donut shop today, and the donuts was delicious and the breakfast sandwich was delicious, but it was after like 1 or something, so I didn't get the coffee, although I was very, very tempted. Yes, no, I am in search of Black-owned restaurants. I mean, we live in Houston. There are a lot of them. They're just not where I live. They're not in my area, so I have to go out. So, which I'm willing to do at this point. I mean, Starbucks is 5 minutes away from me, and the coffee shop that I was going to go to is like 20 minutes away, but I'll go. And also, Kim Fields has her own coffee brand that she has, so I might just order some of her coffee online. Hello, I love me some Kim Fields. So hey,
you can also buy coffee from your sister right here.
Yours is healthy coffee.
People buy coffee from you at?
I will get some coffee from you as well. But no, now's the time. I will be supporting Black-owned entrepreneurs. I mean,
That's cool, Russia. That's cool,
but yes,
Shirley.
I'm sorry, I just rambled on. Keep going.
Cece, it seems like you had something to say. Did you have something else to say?
The only thing that I was going to add around the whole Starbucks conversation and the dress code and all that thing, the article that Shanika Sen actually did talk a little bit about that. And the person who initially put out that Starbucks was not going to allow their employees to participate in wearing the buttons and all that was their diversity and inclusion director. So the person that they hired for that role. So that's why I said, I mean, they're going to be missteps, but I don't think that it was something that was done callously, but it's the same thing with racial biases, right? The way that the decision making that we make is often a result of our own biases that we have. And so there will be missteps. And it really is a matter of taking a look at what happens moving forward and what kind of work they do, you know, going forward to ensure that they're not allowing their biases to create a system that does make things more difficult for their Black employees.
Now, Cece, last week you mentioned about a Fortune 500 company that you yourself had worked for in the past that had a lot of racial issues and tensions and things that were going on. And you went to the person who, like, the HR people, and you told them about it, and they really didn't want to hear about it. Now, my question is, now Starbucks, and not even Starbucks, all these large corporations, at the end of the day, they are dependent on they're depending on individuals. I don't know if Starbucks got together in a boardroom and had all their team members, not all their team members, but those higher up team members to get together and say, oh, this is the decision that we're making, and this is how we're going to present it. Any of those things. Like, we're talking about very sensitive things here. And even you said, like, when you had your conversation with that company that you worked for, it felt like they were very insensitive. And I think that at the end of the day, that's what it feels like Starbucks has been, is insensitive. Not that they were, you know, they have to make a choice. If they don't want people to wear BLM, that's fine. They don't wear BLM. They can wear it, you know, whatever. But it's about how you say it, how you approach it, the tone, the way in which you bring information. In my opinion, I don't know. What do you think?
I'll just say this, you know, Starbucks could have been quiet. They could have not addressed it. They could have not talked about it. They could have not done anything. But their employees were the ones who asked the question, can we wear our BLM stuff? Can we do that? And so they listened. They listened to their stakeholders and they had a conversation. Now, the first answer wasn't the answer that their employees wanted to hear, right? It wasn't the answer that people out in the community wanted to necessarily hear. But I think the fact that they're having those kind of conversations in their company is a good sign. The fact that we used to have, in that same company, we used to have an online suggestion box, right? And you could put in your suggestions. And as people got more and more heated and more upset, and the culture got worse and worse, those suggestions got real raw and real, and people started talking about all the problems that were existing there. And it was a public thing, so you could see all of the suggestions that came through. And for many people, it felt like the only safe outlet to let anybody know that there were problems happening in the workplace. And they closed our suggestion box. They didn't look for answers. They didn't say, hey guys, I see that there's a problem. We want to figure out a way to make sure that you guys feel safe in the workplace. That was not what happened for us. Right? They didn't answer so for me, I'm giving Starbucks a little grace. I mean, I'm not one of their consumers, so you know, it might be easier for me than others, but they're at least listening. They're at least having the conversations. And when they're messing up, they're saying, okay, we've now heard why what we've done might not have worked, wasn't the right answer. And we want to try and do something different. And I think that's how you see change happen, right? We ask the questions, we have the conversations, we implement something, that thing did not work. We try something else. Ooh, that thing didn't work. We'll try something else until we find what does work. And so I respect, at the very least, that they're having the conversations, because at least in my experience, we were shut down. We were closed. They sent us an email, hey, we're closing that suggestion box down. It got way too negative. And we don't, that's the end of that. And as you said, I contacted HR, and it didn't go well. That company has since come out with a statement about how much they care about Black lives. That was not my experience working there, right? And so I have to say, when I see a company trying, even when they're messing up, I think that that's a step in the right direction.
Question, would you go back to that company being that they have grown?
No, I wouldn't, because I don't believe that they have grown, right? I like putting out a statement is not evidence that you have grown. It's all about your actions, which is what I keep saying, right? It's the only thing that I've ever seen. All I can go by is the history I know to be true, right? If somebody posts a racist tweet at that time, that felt true to you, right? If you come back with an apology later, I don't know if that's true or if that's just you trying to say, hey, forgive me, I still need to eat. Same with this company. Hey, I was in that workspace. It was incredibly, incredibly racially charged and inappropriate. I've had people reach out to me since all this has gone down and said, dude, I remember when you told me about that place. I get it now. I see it now. I understand now. And when I asked for help, they didn't provide me with help. They didn't do anything. They only shut us down. And so unless I see that they start doing real calls, they start doing real action, they start doing some things and messing up and doing some more things and messing up, I'm going to continue to believe what I know to feel most true.
I mean, that's definitely fair.
Shelly, did you have something to add, Shelly?
All right. Not really. I agree with you guys on, a company's action on, whether I will, whatever their action is, if they're backing up their words with their action. As far as Starbucks is concerned, I just feel like if wearing your BLM apparel or buttons or whatever was a problem, then it should have been a problem for any other political support. You can't, it's not fair to support one thing and then ostracize another community. Like, I just feel, I don't want to debate. 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 I don't want to debate.
Listen, I'm not trying to debate with you. I'm just saying that that's how politics works, though. Politics is like some things you agree with, some things you don't, some things you stand for, some things you won't. So there's no way for them to be on all sides.
I get that, but if it's a company, it needs to be fair across the board. If I can't wear my BLM, why do you want me to support another community? Like, I just don't feel like it's fair. And I understand politics is not fair. But again, Starbucks said it wasn't political, but it was political. And yeah, that's all I got to say.
The only thing I want to add is with Starbucks in particular, and I am not caping for Starbucks, let me just be clear. But with Starbucks in particular, their stance on Black Lives Matter is a new stance, right? Like, I understand that we talked about a case that happened 2 years ago, and we know that one day of cultural sensitivity training will not change a company, right? Will not change well, in most cases, not change a human, right? But companies coming forward and saying, we support the Black Lives Matter movement is a fairly new phenomenon, right? It's a fairly new phenomenon. So they have to catch up. Whereas them accepting or them saying we stand by our LGBTQ plus community, that might have been an older policy that they already had in place. And so I mean, I understand wanting some degree of fairness, but it sounds to me like they're trying to make things equitable, but they're still figuring out how to do that. So that's all I want to add.
Well, then they should have never came out with that statement saying they stand with the Black community then. They should have never came out with that statement.
But I think that they do stand with the Black community. I just think that, and we can't judge, again, like that case that happened all that time ago happened in one Starbucks out of all of the 5,000 Starbucks that there is, you know what I mean? And so I think that where they could have done a little bit better is maybe, and I don't know, again, I wasn't in the boardroom, I wasn't there talking to Starbucks, so I don't know for sure, but maybe actually pulling some of those team members that are on the ground and getting them in the room along with their shareholders and their stakeholders, and even maybe pulling in a couple of customers and saying, what do you guys think? Can we have a conversation in that way that connects everybody? I think that might have been.
That would require them to want change, and that would require them to want to work. That would require work for them.
But I mean, that's a part of it. Like, I mean, we do that in marketing. In marketing, you have a group, you have a focus group, you have a test market, you have these different people that you literally just ask different. What does BLM make you feel? Why would you be, how would you react?
That's where they went wrong. Like, they probably didn't have that until all that stuff started happening.
Well, I would like to say that I will not be canceling Starbucks. I do not drink Starbucks, so it's not even my issue, right? But there's a long list of companies that people are saying, like, we are canceling, we ain't going there no more. I am not, I'm focused on myself. I know what businesses and companies and people to support. And that will change when I change, and we're ever evolving people, humans, beings. So I'm not down for the cancel culture, but at the same time, I'm down for the cancel culture. So I'm just speaking in circles now because that's what we do in America.
What?
But on that note, this was a great conversation. I would love to hear you guys' thoughts. Comment down below. Let us know. Are y'all canceling companies? What are y'all feeling about these influencers and these celebrities? Let us know down in the comment section. Like us, subscribe to us, hit the notification bell so you can see more of us. All right, guys, that's all from us from Westside. I'm from in the background. Bye, guys.